I'm East Coast Pete. Welcome to my show, Mid-Rock Crisis. We're going to save some rock today. Now, this band has been a big part of my life. Very much my favorite prog band, Gentle Giant. They formed in 1970 and they were active until around 1980. I like to say this is my favorite band anytime, any genre. I think listening to Gentle Giant increases your IQ. As highbrow as classical or symphonic, chamber, choral, or even world music at its best. I've seen them in concert. My only complaint is that I've worn out my copy of Octopus, possibly Giant's best album. Fortunately, there are 10 more albums that I never tire of. This band is the creation of three brothers from Glasgow, Scotland. Phil is the eldest, born in 1937. Derek and Ray were born in 47 and 49. The Schulmans were a musical family. Their father was a jazz trumpeter. He encouraged his sons to learn several instruments and all became adept. The brothers were influenced by medieval music, Baroque, and modernist chamber elements. Their lyrics were taken from personal experiences, but also from philosophy, particularly the work of Francois Rabelais, a Renaissance writer, physician, and humanist, and monk and Greek scholar in the 14th and 15th centuries, and R.D. Laing, an existentialist in the 20th century, a psychiatrist who wrote about mental illness and psychosis. He lauded individuality in the treatment of patients, which put him at odds with the Freudian methods. It's my father and my mother maybe every cigar, whatever. The Schulman moved to Portsmouth on the English Channel, which is where Ray was born. In the 60s, the younger brothers became interested in rhythm and blues music and formed a band first called the Howling Wolves, then the Roadrunners. Big brother Phil acted as their manager, and then he joined the band. Renamed Simon Dupree and the Big Sound, adding soul. Derek was the front man. Phil played sax and trumpet, and Ray played guitar and violin. All three sang backing vocals. This band featured pianist Elton John for a time. Dudley Moore, the actor, recorded a single with them. EMI signed them. There were several singles made, but they did not chart. EMI suggested they try psychedelia. The first of these was Kites in 1967. It was a top 10, and an album named Without Reservation followed. Here's the songs on that one. Number 1, I See the Light, backed by It Is Finished. 2, Reservations, backed by You Need a Man. 3, Daytime, Nighttime, backed by I've Seen It All Before. And 4, Kites, backed by Like the Sun, Like the Fire. This was a UK number 9 chart topper. 5, For Whom the Bell Tolls, backed with Sleep. And this went to number 43 in the UK. Number 6, Part of My Past, back with This Story Never Ends. I think the best track here is Thinking About My Life. Velvet and Lace on the other side of that single. Number 8, We Are the Moles, part 1 and 2. Hey, I like this, Ringo. Number 9, Broken Hearted Pirates, back with She Gave Me the Sun. And 10, The Eagle Flies Tonight, back with Give It All Back. This is the list of singles that they put out and have since been collected into a collaboration album. Now, the Schulmans wanted to be seen as blue-eyed soul artists. They did not like the direction their music was taking, which was pop hits. The Moles single was at first thought to be the Beatles playing under a pseudonym, with Ringo singing lead. But Syd Barrett of Pink Floyd called shenanigans and outed Simon Dupree and the Big Sound as the band that made that single. The Big Sound was dissolved when the brothers adopted a new direction, the one that would lead to Gentle Giant and Prog. In 1970, Gary Green on guitar, mandolin and recorder, and Kerry Miniar on keyboards, vibraphone, cello were all recruited. Simon Dupree drummer Martin Smith was retained, and Derek Schulman added saxophone and recorder. Ray added bass and violin, and Phil added sax, trumpet, and clarinet. Derek sang in a strong R&B tenor. Phil sang on the folk and jazz songs, and Kerry Miniar sang the lighter folk and classical, but not live. His voice was too soft, with amplification still primitive for the rock artists. Elton John was considered to sing lead, but his audition was not adequate. Wow. The band's name came from a fictional character, a nice giant, who comes upon the band of troubadours and is entranced by the music. And this is reminiscent of the fiction of Francois Rabelais. So many instruments in one band, 46 in the credits on the sleeve. There were no session musicians used. 5 of the 6 members sang, which led to compositions of complex harmony and counterpoint. The lyrics were created without a thought to commercial acceptance. The first album, Gentle Giant, was released in 1970. Here's the tracks: Giant, Derek, this is a Derek song, Full of Hooks, no Simon Dupree here, Instant Prog, very interesting hard rock anthem to kick off a career. 2 Funny Ways, Phil and Derek penned this one. The intro is soft and melodic with strings and acoustic guitar and lovely singing of intelligent lyrics. That's why I love this band forever. Number 3, Alucard. It's written by Phil, Derek, and Kerry Miniar. 4, Isn't It Quiet and Cold? That's a Phil song. 5, Nothing at All, Phil and Derek. This is calm pop with a middle mishmash, experimental. And 6, Why Not? Why not? Derek Carey, hard rock like Tull without the flute, bluesy ending. And 7, The Queen, it's an instrumental. God Save Her, I'm not real sure why that's here. Next album, 1971, Acquiring the Taste. The band is developing rapidly, more dissonant and experimental. Carey's classical training was showcased. After the album was finished, Martin Smith was replaced by Malcolm Mortimer on drums. The sleeve art features a giant red tongue with the band's name in salivary font, and there was controversy about what was implied, but it was a peach. Open the sleeve. It's a peach. Here's the songs. 1. Pantagruel's Nativity. It's a Carrie song. Has a bit of trouble starting. Oh, there it goes. From fragile to eerie to pleasant soft jazz, progressive, vibraphone break, then Carrie's guitar response, and then Derek goes eerie again. 2. The Edge of Twilight, Carrie Miniar, soft pop and jazz, then In My Day had to have Certain Future. There was an interlude then. Number 3, The House, the Street, the Room by Derek, Phil, and Carrie. Subtle, syncopated bass line, some shredding, some goth, all in 6/8 time. And 4, Acquiring the Taste. That's an instrumental track. 5, Wreck. This is by Derek, Phil, and Carrie. A sea wreck. Everyone dies wet. And 6, The Moon is Down. Derek and Phil, and Derek does a soft one, spacey, fallen angels, earth and moon mating, that kind of thing. 7, Black Cat. It's a Phil song. Jungle Heritage of House Cats. Ray, hand me the ratchet, would ya? 8, Plain Truth. It's a Derek song. It's quite a second album, all in all. Quite. Paul Kosh, Tony Visconti was the producer, and Chris Thomas helped with the Moog synthesizer as guest musicians. And in 1972, third album, Three Friends. This is a concept album. 3 boys who grew up to take 3 life paths: the road digger, the artist, and a white-collar worker. Their fates are examined by the music. The album begins in harmony, but gradually, as the friends grew apart during the tour, Mortimer was injured in a motorcycle accident. John Pugwash Weathers, who had played in Joe Cocker's Grease Brand and Wild Turkey, and Graham Bond's Magic, was recruited to finish the tour. Weathers was a harder hitter and could sing and play melodic percussion and guitar, so he was asked to stay. Three Friends charted in the U.S., but only to number 197. And here's the songs. Number 1, Prologue, Phil and Carrie. Sort of like the guys are in kindergarten at this point. For me, kindergarten began when I was drawing a house, but I knew how to draw a house in perspective. And the other kids, they thought it was better to draw them like triangles. They spent the next 10 years proving me wrong because I could draw and they couldn't. So it was a lesson learned there for me. 2, School Days, Phil and Carrie song. Yep, school is fucked up. Don't go. No, of course, go to school. Yeah. 3, Working All Day. This is a Derek song. I've done that. It's about futility. 4, Peel the Paint. The Phil, Derek, Carrie on Echoplex guitar. I've done that too. This one's about torment. 5, Mr. Class and Quality. This is a Derek song, but I haven't done that. Never was a classy guy, really. That's what they tell me anyway. 6. Three Friends, the ensemble. I disagree that the end is left blank. The end is in the three songs. It's right there. The end is the means, is what I mean. And then in 1972, the Octopus album came. It was named by Roberta Schulman as a pun on Octopus, a piece with 8 movements. Not necessarily a concept album like Three Friends, the lyrics were a description of each Gentle Giant member. Touring on the same bill as Black Sabbath proved disastrous. Concertgoers heckled Giant to get to their idols. This was excruciating, as Octopus is the best and most complex set of songs so far, and difficult to pull off live. Phil Schulman had no sympathy for the Sabbath observers and decided he wanted to spend more time with his family. Derek would take over his parts, but the loss of Phil was a giant blow. To forge ahead, the band would adapt by necessity. There was no one who could replace Phil's playing or his lyrics. John Weathers was the positive force that kept the band going. And here's the songs from Octopus. Number 1, The Advent of Panurge. Be careful who you bring home, but if you're sure, it could become a good thing. 2, Raconteur Troubadour. A minstrel troupe, like all bands who play for wages. 3, A Cry for Everyone, written by Ray Schulman. This is absurdist, life has no meaning kind of thing. 4, Knots, Rondo, more absurdist stuff. 5, The Boys in the Band is an instrumental. It's a good one too. 6, Dog's Life. Is it about a man or a dog or both? And all dogs are thieves. 7, Think of Me with Kindness. Another Panurge going song. The Parting, the Octopus doesn't know or care. And then the river, what goes on after, which is the earth, the land. The earth and land cleans itself. How striving is for nothing. Life's a bitch, and then you die. I found out that a mellophone is not the same as a mellotron. Would you choose family over band brothers? Phil did right. A turn of the page. He also quit music. Touring is not good for a young family, and Phil was right to leave. Band brothers scrambled and managed. The amount of work and creativity put into Octopus without anything beyond cult status was hard to swallow. A leaner giant would emerge. In 1973, the album In a Glass House was never released in the United States, but highly sought as an import. A concept album, psychological and determined, the album begins and ends with the sound of broken glass. That's what you heard here earlier, in case you were wondering. Here's the songs. 1, The Runaway. It's not Phil, is it? Nope. And I miss him. Give this song 5 out of 10. 2, An Inmate's Lullaby. More about an insane asylum. This one only gets 4 out of 10. 3, Way of Life. Not so good. C- at best, 3 out of 10. 4, Experience. 3.5 out of 10. 5, A Reunion, 3 out of 10. I guess you're saying maybe I don't care for this album. 6, In a Glass House goes back up to 4 out of 10. And 7, Index, which is a hidden track. 1974, The Power and the Glory. It's another concept album about a political do-gooder who succumbs to abuse of power, becoming what he had thought. The theme was also represented in an animated film. Here's the songs. Number 1, Proclamation. All hail, gentle giant, are back. 10 out of 10. Just glad you're back, guys. 2, So Sincere. Back down to 5. Kind of a mess. Not back yet, exactly. Proclamation was just teasing me. 3, Aspirations. There we go, 10 out of 10. I'm glad you're back. Now stay like this. It's beautiful. A peasant asks for kindly governing. A prayer to the king. Number 4 is Playing the Game. This is a chess match with a happy king. I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10 too. 5, Cogs in Cogs, also 10 out of 10. This is the best cut, but I'm not sure what it's about. 6, No God's a Man, 8 out of 10. Good, not great, still not sure what's going on in this song. Got a little more research to do there, folks. And 7, The Face. A lieutenant tries to convince our hero to keep a stiff upper lip. 8 out of 10. I certainly like this one. And 8, Valedictory, part 2 of Proclamation. But all is not well, is it? 7 out of 10. And 9, The Power and the Glory. And the king has lost. 6 out of 10. Who takes over after the king? 1975, Freehand. New label Chrysalis manages to get Giant to cool it on the complexity and simplify. No one knows what your lyrics mean, gentlemen. The approach to work. The album was top 50 in the US. It's more jazz than prog. Themes were lost love and breakups. Here's the songs. 1, Just the Same. And I love this song. This was my first Gentle Giant experience. 10 out of 10. 2, On Reflection. 8.5. Excuse me. 8.5. It's a 4-part rondo. 3, Freehand. And this is the best cut. All that prog should be 10 out of 10. Sorry, I'm so sorry. You know what you do when you sneeze and you don't want to? Think real hard in your head with your finger under your nose about birds flying over the desert. I know it sounds silly, but try it. It works. No philosophy on the song Freehand. It's just being glad to be rid of somebody. 4, Time to Kill starts with Pong, you know, the old video game Pong, that sound. Fooling around, no getting stuff done. 8 out of 10, but it sure rocks. 5, His Last Voyage. The bass is always good, Ray. Always good. Age rules over all things. Fate rules over hope. 7 out of 10. Lost at Sea. Finally free. 6, Taliban. An instrumental with medieval synthesizer. 10 out of 10. This could be a Jethro Tull song. 7, Mobile is awesome. 10 out of 10. And 8, Just the Same. Another bonus track. And in 1976, Interview. Another concept album. It was conceived as a radio interview. The lyrics are often a dig at the press, who would usually ask inane questions. Here's the song number one, Interview. John Weathers has a vocal spot. It's about the band and doing what's right. 10 out of 10. Very quirky. Don't make us something that we're not. 2, Give It Back. Just how much can you spend? 10 out of 10. Just how much can you spend if you have to give it back in the end? 3, Design. In my day, had to have a certain future. But now you can do as you like, all that you like. 6 out of 10. 4, Another Show. Touring is tough. 10 out of 10. I had this in Octopus in cassette, Freehand, Power and Glory, and Citizen I had in vinyl. Just thought I'd tell you about that. Miss vinyl. Don't miss cassettes so much. 5, Empty City. It's a really cool song. Giant for a Day CD and Every Day in Our House. So Long. 10 out of 10. 6, Timing. 10 out of 10. And I love this one. It so rocks. And 7, I Lost My Head. 10 out of 10 again. Why don't they like this album? I Lost My Head is the best track among many best tracks. It's nearly perfect. But the next album isn't. I know. But don't hold Interview up as a cause. Shit happens. 1977, The Missing Piece. And The Missing Groove. 2, 2 Weeks in Spain. Never liked that song, but it's one of the better ones on this album, folks. 2, I'm Turning Around. 8 out of 10. I like this one. I'm glad I do. 2 for 2. And Everything Falls Away with Bet You Thought We Couldn't Do It. This is crap. 3 out of 10. 4, Who Do You Think You Are? It's a little better than Betcha, but not much. I'm going 3.5 out of 10. 5, Mountain Time. I think the guys are in the U.S. as tax exiles. 2 out of 10. God, this one sucks. What's wrong with you? 6, As Old As You Are Young. This is the 4th song about mirrors. What the fuck? 3 out of 10. 7, Memories of Old Days. Derek's on bass, Carl on guitar, everyone else on guitar too. I'm going to add 1 point and make it a 4 out of 10. A lot of guitars, you know. 8, Winning. But it's not really. 3 out of 10. And 9, For Nobody. 5 of 10. And it rocks a little bit at the ending. Now, in 1978, they came out with their album Giant for a Day. This is called a big step down for Gentle Giant, but I disagree. The Missing Piece was the step down. Hell, it fell all the way down the stairs. Giant for a Day was an attempt to stand up, brush off, and ignore the bruises. This album was pop, not prog. So Genesis, but without the crossover appeal. Here's the songs. Number 1, Words from the Wise. It's not a bad song. Go back and listen. It's not a bad song. 2, Thank You. Even better. 3, Spooky Boogie. I think this is the worst Gentle Giant song they've ever done, or hopefully will ever do. 4, Take Me. Give it 5 out of 10. Let's say 5 out of 10. We're talking about C average here. 5, Little Brown Bag. I don't really remember this. What's Idi Amin got to do with it? And Giant for a Day. Get 6 out of 10. And then song Friends is 4 out of 10. Seventh song No Stranger, 5 out of 10. And 8, It's Only Goodbye, 4 out of 10. And 9, Rock Climber, 6 out of 10. So it's not as good as Octopus, not by a long stretch, but it's better than a missing piece, except for Spooky Boogie. That was Bad Mojo. There was no way this album was going to save them. No Phil Collins miraculous sellout. Shulman knew where it was going, and he had nothing to prove. But he had his brother and his band brothers gave us a gift in the form of the 1980 album Civilian. More hard rock than pop or prog, Civilian was not well received, and that's an understatement. But I think it's a really good album, and I'll tell you why. 1, convenience. Clean and easy, an extra point for the clever title mixing with the band's name. Just kind of look at the cover of Citizen and see what I'm talking about. 8 out of 10. 2, All Through the Night. And I'm okay with this. 6 out of 10. It's not my giant, but it's better than the last 2 albums. 3, Shadows on the Street. This is a soft song, and it works well. 7 out of 10, and the chorus is the best part. 4, Number One. This rocks. 8 of 10. I think Number One and You're Still No One. Derek is a great singer, but I wish he hadn't gone all Tom Jones. That's a little bit cringeworthy, I guess. 5, Underground. It's about a subway. Too clean a song to be about a New York subway. Maybe a Washington, D.C. subway. They're a lot cleaner. 7 out of 10. And no one wears Bud Abbott hats anymore. Nobody. 6, I Am a Camera. 5.5 out of 10. It's not bad. I just don't really like this one. But it's got a small amount of the it factor on the turnaround. That's why I gave it an extra 0.5. Then 7, Inside Out. Perfection. Thank you. Wow. 3 exclamation points. 10 out of 10. This is a dark anthem. Where's the door? No, stay. Forever. This track is heavenly, but dark also. The drums sound great. Good recording. Like the gong. I'll bet Phil likes this one. It's a great, great song. Great song to go out on. 9, Heroes No More. Give it 7 out of 10. And 8, It's Not Imagination. That's all there is. Those people have no faces. This last one is sad to see. You go 6 out of 10. I love you guys. My favorite band. 40 years of it. Now, Gentle Giant had carved out a niche in the hills and valleys of the land of Prague. They affected many of us and still do. When they tried to assail the rough terrain of pop and subsequently the lofty crags of hard rock, they were naturally compared to other bands that had made it to the top through their talent and understanding what their audience wanted. Some bands would not make the trip by their skills, but more by playing the tune of recording industry says do this, so we do that. And who do I mean? That's another story for a different show. I'm trying to save rock, not condemn it, at least for now. As for Gentle Giant, There would be no reunion. Ray Schulman became a record producer of Echo and the Bunnymen. Derek became a successful promoter and producer. John Weathers would play drums for Man. Gary Green settled in Chicago playing regionally, and Kerry Miniar settled in Cornwall playing gospel. Phil Schulman became a school teacher and a proprietor. His son Damon formed a band, and his father, repeated history and participated. Three friends with former Gentle Giant alumni Crean, Mortimer, and Minier. They play Gentle Giant songs. It's really a tribute band. The Schulmans were not on board and not pleased. They sound okay. I mean, they're the songs that I love to hear, and it's interesting hearing them play it. I mean, Kerry Minier, he's got quite elderly now, and of course he's a great guitarist and always has been, always will be, but form your own band. Write your own songs. No coattails of Gentle Giant. They didn't want it. Thank you, everyone, for being with me. And I know this was a very long show. Because you stayed with me, I'm going to give you a hint about the next band I'm going to review. They're called The Remains. Thanks for everybody for being here on Midrock Crisis. Everybody take real good care. Bye-bye.